All right, welcome to week one, class two, part two of our first week of classes in AI and journalism. We're in the AI schedule here in Canvas. You can also find it in Google Drive under the week two folder, or week one folder, which is right here. It mirrors everything that is in the week one folder or module in Canvas. The AI schedule's right there. And we're on number 6. This will be a hot link to this video, so you can be watching it there. Got two short mini lectures. I'll also touch a little bit on AI and the history of AI and where it came from. It's a lot older than you think it is. And then we'll review a couple things and then look ahead to week two. Our first slideshow here is just on some basics of writing and editing for the web. As the semester goes along, we're going to spend the first few weeks of the semester just talking about AI fundamentals. But as we progress along around week 6 or 7, we're going to start doing more hands-on work with images, video, other types of multimedia, graphics, things like that. And we'll be publishing them into Medium, which is part of your assignment this week to learn how to publish a picture, 2 videos, and some text into Medium. So that's one of the things we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about writing headlines and writing and editing for the web. One of the key things in journalism, especially when we're working with anything AI related, is to report and fact check. And I always love this quote. I pulled this off of a social media feed. Journalism 101. If somebody tells you it's raining and another person says it's dry, it's not your job as a journalist to quote them both. Your job is to look out the window and find which one is true. And also, it's your job to tell us who lied about the weather to you as well. It's not our job just to report both sides of a story, but it's to pursue the truth. That's one of the big fundamentals of journalism. We deal in a world of facts, not assumptions, or it seems as though, or a bunch of opinions. You have the chance to write an opinion piece, a midterm paper in here. But when we're writing something journalistically, it's to confirm facts and know that what we're publishing is true. So that's when journalism is at its best. It's how it's supposed to be executed. Doesn't always happen that way, but it's how it's supposed to be executed. When you're writing for a website, you want to be tight and concise in your writing. We're not doing academic writing here, so it's not as wordy and windy. Your paragraphs are going to be short. One paragraph is no more than 2 to 3 sentences long. Your quotes are going to be standing alone in their own paragraphs. The story you're going to write needs to be scannable. And we need to get a quick summary of the story topic at the top. So we tell you right away in the first 2 paragraphs what the story's about. Bullet points work as well when you're listing something maybe in a story. Listicles are very popular online. I'm not a big fan of them, but a lot of people like them. 10 things to know about this topic, and then they can just read down the list. It breaks up the page and makes it easy to read. That's what we're looking for here. So short paragraphs, direct quotes from sources stand in their own paragraphs. We don't write long, windy paragraphs. Short, tight, concise sentences. Well, how do we remember how to write tight paragraphs? We use what's called the 1 through 5 rule. 1 idea per paragraph, 2 to 3 sentences maximum, 4 to 5 type lines. That would be on a Word doc maximum. And again, those quotes stand alone in their own paragraphs. Most journalists write stories to an 8th grade level. So we're writing at a very basic level. We're making things digestible and understandable for the readers. Another thing for element of writing for websites, we write in active voice. We try to avoid passive voice at all costs, or passive aggressive voice, which is the little joke here in the graphic on the right under number 3. Passive aggressive voice is very bad. So active voice, you ate 6 donuts. Passive voice, were 6 donuts were eaten by you. We write in active voice. No first person. We write in third person. So he said, she said, not I think or I know. So we're writing in third person and is an active voice as much as we can. Most of what we're going to write in this class are news stories, short, simple news stories about a topic. We follow what's called the inverted pyramid format for news stories. We put the most newsworthy information at the top, but we paint kind of broad strokes. We work in a few details: who, what, when, where, why, how, and how much. Those are the basic questions we need to answer in every story, because that's the information the reader wants to know. Who's raising our taxes? Oh, it's the governor. Why is he raising them, and how much? And when will the increase in taxes take place? What will that money go to, or where will that money go? Those are the key questions we want to answer early in the story. And then we get into support information that has a little more detail, maybe some data, quotes, some studies that are cited. And then the background information goes down below. The good thing about writing on the web, and you'll be doing this week with your practice story, is that the general information, background information, you can link off to, write what we know and link to the rest. So you can always link off to background information too, and maybe just write a sentence of background information rather than 2 or 3 paragraphs. So most newsworthy information's first. Then we begin to narrow the focus into more detailed information that supports our lead, and then background information. Maybe if it's an ongoing story, we tell a little background down lower in the story. A lot of times when I get papers or articles that are written by students, they put the background up first and then they fill in with all their quotes and interviews and the newsworthy information down low. We call that burying the lead in journalism. So you want to avoid that. Headlines. Every headline you write for your stories in here must have an SEO crafted headline, search engine optimized headline. That means, search engines like Google will pick up on it, Bing, even Medium has a search engine built into it. It also helps a little bit with AEO, which is answer driven optimization, which is more geared toward your large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, and like that. It helps search engines index your story. The first 4 words are typically key. The format is who did what, subject, verb, object, structure, typically about 7 to 9 words long. They can be shorter. You could go to 10 or 11 words if you really have to, but 7 to 9 is kind of the target to aim for when you're writing a headline. And with your practice story this first week, I kind of give you one. Governor Quinn says, pension plan threatening MAP grants. Who did what? Here's what the Governor Quinn said. So former Governor Quinn, I should say. So subject, verb, object, structure, 7 to 9 words long, and you'll have a good SEO crafted headline. Here's an example of some. This would be a good print headline here. Police arrest 2 for prostitution, including Thorpe. And as I begin to narrow it here, they get better and better. The best headline is Harvard Chancellor Thorpe arrested in prostitution ring. That's because there's several keywords in here that are searchable. Keywords are what we type in at the end of our stories. They have a little field box in Medium that'll allow you to do it. You can type in, if you're searching for this story, here's some words that people may be searching for: Chancellor, Harvard, Thorpe, and prostitution. This last subject, verb, object headline has that. It has all those keywords built into the headline, which makes it even more searchable. Up here, it's too vague. Again, it might be good for a print headline, but nobody knows who Thorpe is. But Harvard Chancellor Thorpe arrested in prostitution ring. Boy, that's a pretty big one. There is no Chancellor Thorpe, by the way. So it's just a made-up headline. So these are types of approaches you want to take. Very short headlines, 7 words. Subject, verb, object, structure, has a lot of keywords in it, proper nouns in it, that people would be searching for to find that story. Most search engines show up to the first 75 characters. That's why putting those keywords in the headline, especially up toward the start of the headline, is very important. Use words that are found typically in the lead or the first few paragraphs of the story. Print headlines tend to be fun to write, puns, metaphors, and creativity, but the online headlines we're writing in Medium tend to be pretty boring. Search engines are literal, so they don't have a sense of humor. Doesn't always translate like they do in print headlines. So online headlines, pretty straightforward, pretty basic. My sources and resources for this come from these people and these websites. So that is our first mini lecture. I told you they'd be short. These 2 are in your modules in folders, so you can go back and review them if you want to. I always give you guys the slideshows. Please don't share them with anybody outside of class. These are materials that I built that I use for trainings and presentations. Please don't put them up on the web anywhere. You can keep them in your private Google Drives. But I figure I should share them with you because you are paid for the class, so it's mine is yours. But please don't put them up on the web anywhere, like on SlideShare or just pass them around over email or anything. So just take good care of them. So the second part, our second mini lecture, is on AI in journals, kind of overcoming the fear of AI and how it can help you. Hopefully, I'll be able to get rid of this lecture someday. But I still deliver it now. I do it a lot in newsrooms with reporters and editors, largely because many of your professors have, just made AI seem like the big bad wolf to you. And it's not. If you're using it right and using it in a human-centric way, in a responsible way, with good guardrails in place, like our principles on the Red Line Project that I've have you guys reading this week, you're going to be just fine with it. And I've got a pretty liberal AI policy in my class. The golden rule is don't use it to write your story, but to edit it, add multimedia, and do a lot of other things with it, research, organizing and structuring it, outlining things like that. Very, very helpful for that. So this is to kind of help break that fear of using AI. Remember too, generative AI is what we're working with mainly in this class. Large language models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Claude, Google Gemini. Those are generative AI tools. They generate new text, audio, images, or video, or code based on content that has been pre-trained on. So if it's not trained on what you're asking it to do, it can't do it, or it'll hallucinate. We'll get into that more in prompt writing. I also do that whenever I start using a new large language model. I ask it what it does well and what it does poorly. I think it's very important to do that. But generative AI is a subset of a larger world of artificial intelligence, of AI. The two terms are kind of misused in the media quite a bit, or even by educators who think AI is just generative AI. It's not. Generative AI is a small subset of the larger machine learning and deep learning capabilities that AI has. So, this little Venn diagram kind of breaks it down a little bit for you. And I think it's good to hit that right off the bat so we understand what generative AI is as opposed to the larger bucket of artificial intelligence. AI has been around for a long, long time. It's been around since the 1950s. It's been used largely by supercomputers at universities. It's been very poorly funded over the years. A lot of scientists and comp sci people dismissed it as sci-fi. I mean, you see the old movies about artificial intelligence and robots, the old Terminator movies from the 80s and 90s. People are scared of it. But really, since it's been released by Llama in late 2001 or 2021, AI can now be operated off your computer. You can build tools yourself and operate them and use them. We've been using AI for years and haven't even known it. Every time you do a Google search, you're using a form of generative AI. And it's been used in Meta, it's been used in X Twitter for many years. Any of these algorithms have been using AI. And the reason they've been able to use it is they've got the supercomputing power and the data centers that have been able to handle it. But once these compressed versions of generative AI have been released, so we can run them off of our home computers or our laptops or even our phones, it's become much more widespread usage of it. So people are more aware of it. And when that happens, when we see technological advances, fear comes with it. People are scared of Michael Myers from the movies, but a lot of it's hype. It's the music building up to Michael. And he is a scary dude. A lot of people were fearful of the Terminator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger characters, because artificial intelligence helped build him in robotics. But fear not. AI, when used right, is a very, very powerful tool. When we stop looking at it as science fiction and looking at it as a tool that's been programmed to do something. Think of AI as a crane that will do the heavy lifting for you. My grandfather, when he came over from Ireland, had trouble finding a job in New York City when he got off at Ellis Island. He used to carry material up floors in buildings. That was his first job, carrying big bags of heavy cement up these steps so they could mix the cement on the floors and they could build high-rise buildings. That was his first job. But soon he lost that job, or his job changed, I should say. He became a mason, a bricklayer, because he was no longer needed to carry those bags up the steps because cranes did it for him. And that's what AI can do. AI can do that heavy lifting, so we have time to do other things, more creative things, or apply it in different ways. It's cost efficient, it's smart, and the people who are going to get jobs are the people that know how to use AI. AI is not going to take your job, but people who know how to use AI may take your job. So again, let that crane do the heavy lifting when we build and design and coordinate construction. And I think it's kind of cool. My great grandfather evolved over the years because of technology. Once automobiles came into play, he became a mechanic. That's what led him to move to the Midwest and meet my grandmother and all that stuff. So when he first came over, he had to do a lot of backbreaking work, but he grew along with technology, and as all his generation did. But always remember, when we invent the ship, we invent the shipwreck. AI can be used in many bad ways too, and we'll talk about that throughout the semester and a little bit later in this lecture. Don't fear AI. Remember, the fear is less than the opportunity. We've seen, since you've been born, a lot of technological advances and changes in the internet. There was a lot of fear of the web in the mid 1990s, right before you were born, when I was, working in journalism, and all of a sudden the internet came into play, and wow, we could do fabulous new things with it. But a lot of people in newsrooms are scared of it. They knew, they could see the tidal wave coming, and that it was going to eventually replace print. And you think about your generation, you get your news online. You're not looking at newspapers. People feared social media in 2007 when it began to really emerge, 2006, 2007. 2008, mobile apps and tools began to emerge. Wearable technologies, all the way back to 2010 to 2014, there was a big fear of wearable technologies. Remember that technology only marches forward, not backwards. And we have to evolve with that. We can't stick our heads in the sand and pretend that technology is not changing our jobs. It is. Back in the 1800s, if you walked up and down State Street in downtown Chicago, there were blacksmiths on every corner. There are none today. Why? Because of the automobile. When we invented the automobile, we replaced the horse and buggy. We could get around quicker, faster. It also invented the auto accident. So there are problems that emerge with these technologies. You invent the airplane crash, unfortunately. So we have to learn to balance innovation with the public trust when we're, putting together AI in a public media setting. So we can use it as a tool to help us report, but not replace us as reporters. We still have to go out and do interviews, which we will do in this class. You'll go out and interview people, but we use technology to speed the transcription process. Use technology to develop infographics and audio and video and edit audio in a much quicker way than we could, just 5 years ago. I always get this question when I'm training college professors. Staff and students will be lacking in skills if AI learns to do all the work. But they'll also learn new skills like writing prompts, fact checking, quality control, because we fact check everything that these generative AI tools produce. It's much like the calculator back, when I was in math class in the early 80s. My professors or teachers would always say, you're not always going to have a calculator with you. You have to learn how to do this the old school way. And I'm very grateful for that, learning how to, do the calculation on a sheet of paper. That's great. A lot of times in my trainings, I'll ask people, what's the square root of 9? They'll tell me 3. Then I ask them what the square root of 5 is, and they won't know. You can't calculate the square root of 5 in your head. So what do? You have to go use a calculator for that. And today we do have a calculator on us at all times. My teachers were wrong. We have it right on our phones. So we can calculate anything at any time. Google Calculator, or your calculator that's built into your phone. It makes us more efficient, so we can do other things. That's the calculator's impact on math. That's what AI is doing with us now. But again, don't be this dude. Don't stick your head in the sand. Every once in a while, I'll have some students that push back and, is AI a good thing? We don't want to learn this. We're tired of it. You're going to have to learn, because it's going to be part of your job from here moving forward. It'll make you more marketable and more resourceful as a journalist or as an employee in whatever field you're going into. One thing too about large language models and generative AI, AI is always improving 24/7, 365, which is what Bart Simpson learns in this great cartoon. ChatGPT is really scary, but remember, today is the least scary it will ever be. So we're out at the bars tonight having a beer. AI is learning to build better images. As we're sleeping at night, it's learning how to create better video. And that's a scary thing in terms of people creating the AI deepfakes, which we're going to debunk later this semester. We're going to show you how to combat deepfakes using AI. But people can use this for bad things, and that's a scary part about this. But the good thing about it is AI is learning 24/7 too, so we're getting more robust, more accurate answers all the time, more useful material that's being fed back to us if we know how to prompt it correctly or use it correctly. And remember, AI is not a threat to your job, but it's probably going to be a factor in looking for a job. I go speak at a lot of conferences, and I always look at their job boards. They put job listings up on the walls. And whenever I go and look, I snap some pictures of them and send them to students, that are interested in them. Some are internships, some are full-time jobs. And almost every job description I see has AI skills built into the job description. So again, you're not going to lose your job to AI, but you might not get the job because somebody else is more fluent in AI and using AI than you are. That's why you're taking this class. You want to be fluent in it. Here's another one too. 1 in 4 U.S. workers fear technology will make it like AI will make their jobs obsolete. It won't replace humans, but using AI will replace humans not using AI. And you can see they've done a little study here on this. This is actually from late 2024, early 2025. So it's somewhat dated, but still, fairly recent, fairly relevant. And remember, we've been using, AI ain't new. We've been using it for years. Every time you're using Grammarly, you're using AI. So remember, it's nothing new. This is a great quote from Meredith Broussard. She teaches at NYU in New York. I've met her a couple times at conferences, and it's not special, it's not magic, it's another technology, and ways to think of it that way. It's a powerful technology. It's more powerful than any of the tools I've previously used, and I've been using them for more than 30 years. So keep that in mind. It is powerful, but it's another tool. It's like your phone. It's a tool. It's a resource for you to use when you're reporting. What are LLMs? LLMs stand for large language models. Large language models fall under the umbrella of generative AI. ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, Microsoft Copilot. These are all large language models, LLMs. NotebookLM from Google falls under that umbrella as well. It's a type of artificial intelligence program. It can interpret and generate human speech and text. Really, it converts that human speech into math and then predicts what would come next in that calculation. It's trained on a lot of data, some reliable, some not. It does draw from Wikipedia and Reddit. I'm going to show you how to put settings, what we call custom instructions, into Claude, ChatGPT, in Gemini, where we can tell it not to go to those places. Don't go to Wikipedia or Reddit to get your information. Why? Because some of that information in there is made up or isn't reliable. Always ask for citations in large language models. So if you're asking it to come up with answers for something, ask it to cite where it got the sources from, and go in and confirm them information in those citations. It's kind of like looking at Wikipedia and the footnotes at the bottom. Those citations are very valuable. Pull the research yourself. But don't just trust the first answer it gives you. Go in and confirm it. It's an old saying in journalism: if your mother says she loves you, check it out. That means confirm everything. Same way with AI. That doesn't change at all. Anything that AI kicks back to you, look at it as being unvetted source material and ask for the citations. The underlying concepts have been around for 60 years, as I mentioned before. Large language models today are less than a decade old, only about 5 or 6 years. The interface is done, versus via a chat window, or it's built into another tool with a chat window. It's really extremely powerful for research, summarization, analysis, repackaging your writing for other platforms. A lot of times I'll drop a story into Claude or ChatGPT and say, give me 5 social media posts based off this story. And it'll write pretty good social media posts that I can go in and edit and tweak. If I'm doing research, I go into Perplexity and ask it to research. I'll also use multiple language models and pit them against each other on a task, maybe editing. I'll drop my story to ChatGPT with my privacy settings on, Gemini and Perplexity and Claude and ask it to edit this passage for AP style, grammar, spelling, punctuation. See which one does the best job, And I do it when developing questions for expert sources, when doing research, pit them against each other. Don't just take one model's answer. The benefits of AI as far as journalism is concerned, improves news outlets' responsiveness with customers and consumers. The bots can help them respond quicker to them when they need help. Maybe their subscription's not working right or something to the website. Those bots can help answer those questions pretty quickly, so a person doesn't have to be doing it. Helps news organizations operate more efficiently. Allows for greater personalization of news and how it's delivered. We'll write some prompts later this semester in large language models to develop story ideas that are really customized to an audience. You can start tailoring it to your audience as well. It inspires news organizations to rethink how they best serve their audiences. AI shouldn't just be making us smarter, it should be helping our audience too. And that's called audience-centric journalism. We'll talk more about that throughout the semester. It can target market for marketing and advertisers to consumers more. That's more on the advertising side of journalism, and creating new tools to improve storytelling and monetize content. We'll talk about AI agents and tools like that. And it frees up journalists to do more original enterprise reporting. I used to spend hours transcribing tapes of my audio interviews with sources. Today, you can drop it into Otter or some other tools. It'll create a summary and transcribe all of that very accurately. And then I can go in and clean them up, make sure there's no ums and ahs or in there or anything that's wrong with it. And, I've got a nice clean transcription. But with it comes some perils, some problems with it. It disrupts an already ailing business model. It can cause loss of web traffic. Search engines now train on news content. Answer search queries are much more direct. So, our stories aren't always showing up in large language models. It introduces errors into stories, can damage credibility, people that don't vet the data or information that it's pulling from. Some people argue that it will replace journalism with machine-generated content, and there are some places that do that. But real journalism, you're going out and interviewing people, talking to people, which AI isn't doing for you. The lack of guidelines around its use could prompt ethical problems. Not all newsrooms have guidelines like we have with the Redline Project. So, if we follow those, we'll be in fine shape. If you don't, you're going to get in trouble. So make sure you've read those standards on and principles on the Redline Project site. Limited resources could hamper small news outlets from capitalizing on its use. I actually train a lot of small newsrooms in the Chicago area on AI use. I actually think the opposite is happening. I'm hearing from newsrooms is it's making them more efficient. Small newsrooms don't have graphics designers and things like that, but now these tools can do that for them. And it can accelerate the spread of misinformation and disinformation. Half of all stories that you're seeing on Google search now are AI written. Most of them are deepfake type content or disinformation meant to mislead you. So it's important to know that there are problems with this. People can create fake images and fake video and share them over social channels very quickly because of AI. It used to be harder to create those deep fakes. You had to use Photoshop. Here's an example of a journal or an organization using AI. Amnesty International created these fake images of protesters being arrested in Colombia. This never happened. This is an AI-generated image, and they were putting this on their website. This is a story about it. A very unethical thing to do. This is back in 2021. These AI image models were brand new, and so Amnesty International started pushing this stuff out. We never try to represent news events in here. We only use it as photo illustrations, which is different. I'll get into that later this semester. Can an LLM or an AI tool really know your audience? If you sign in a role, which we'll do a lot here, you're a data journalist in Chicago working on a story about sports concussions. And give me 5 websites that will help me with research on the topic. If you assign it a role and give it some information about your audience, it will train to understand your audience better. And you can keep using that on and on and on. So make sure that that's an option when we get into prompt writing. AI and search, I mentioned this earlier. more search results are more answer driven in AI search. This is Google's AI overviews that you'll see at the top of your search engine now. And then, the old fashioned links are underneath, which we used for years. Same way with, Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. You'll get these answer driven results first, and then you'll see the footnotes, the links to the resources. Um, our stories need to be very answer driven. Think of it. WebMD does this a lot with their stories. Their reporters write about health concerns, so their stories are very answer driven. If I have this type of leukemia, what are the best kind of treatments out there for me? And so they write kind of to that audience and make it more answer driven. They call that PEO or AEO, prompt engine optimization or answer engine optimization. So when we're writing our stories, we'll talk about this throughout the semester. It's very interesting. We have to be able to write with SEO for headlines and things like that, still for search engine optimization, but also AEO when we're constructing our stories and getting to the point early in the story. And that makes it more appealing to these answer-driven large language models. So, it is changing search, whether we're aware of it or not. It's very important. These are my credits. These are the people I've learned from or the resources I've used to develop this lecture. I always put this at the end of my decks to show where the information came from. So just a quick review. Make sure you've read the AI principles on the Redline Project principles and policies page. Just start up here, read the whole thing, but the AI, which applies directly to us, is here. You can watch the videos. But this really explains all of our journalism on the website and how we practice it. This is also very helpful to your sources. Sometimes, your source might say, well, student reporters, I don't know if I can trust them. And you can show them that webpage. You can send them that webpage and say, hey, we don't make stuff up here. We actually report news and vet the material before it's posted. A look ahead to week 2 in this course. Week 2, we're going to also be pre-recorded. Your videos are right here. I've recorded them already. It's going to introduce you to an AI glossary of different terms we use. You'll learn those over the next few weeks. How to set up your privacy settings on ChatGPT and your custom instructions on there. We'll also review that in week 3 when I get back. The custom instructions are very important in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. You can train it to behave and give you answers in a certain format. It's fantastic. And then Thursday of week 2, which is September 3rd, you have a video on what is a large language model. I talked about it earlier, but we're really going to dig into it a little deeper. And why should I care? We're going to talk about some of the prompt writing resources and then some good e-newsletters to subscribe to beyond what I've already shared with you. Week 3, then, we're going to be on Zoom Live at 12:30 on the 8th. And then September 10th, we're actually going to meet in class. So we're going to start talking about the midterm paper. I'll talk a little bit about the LLM Tool Advisor for writing prompts and a few other things. So make sure you're keeping up in the class, even though I'm gone. I will give you feedback on your work and things like that. So hope you found all this useful, and we'll see you in week 2. Try not to work ahead, just get the week 1 things done right now that I've got listed on both the syllabus and the course schedule. It's got the whole checklist here of things to sign up for, as well as the Medium Blue Sky assignment, which is due Friday at 9 a.m. All right, we'll see you on the next video.